Okay, we're live. Welcome everybody to Office Hours. I'm Nora, that's Sto. We're here every other week to provide you with practical advice that you can use in your independent career as a creative entrepreneur, artist, whatever it might be. We had a whole other episode to do today, but we woke up to Instagram being down, Facebook being down, Threads being down, WhatsApp being down. And so we thought we would talk about that instead. And fun fact, this is not the first time we've talked about this because this happens. And so if you're not going to watch the full video, get a website, get a newsletter, because you cannot rely on these platforms, but we're going to get into it more. I woke up to Sto sending me a text message and being like, you got to let me cook today. And I was like, what happened? So here's what we're going to get into. Sto, what's up?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, appreciate you all for coming through. This will be episode 76. Again, you can follow us both on social media, of course. Listen, everything went down earlier today. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. And listen, those are two of the biggest platforms that we have, right? And so, hold on 1 second. I think my signal is way off. But I feel like with both Facebook and Instagram going down, that those are two of the biggest platforms on earth. And so I even today I've had artists hitting me up saying that, like, yo, what do I do? What do I do? And hold on 1 second. Clearly, Nora has frozen here. I think it's my Wi-Fi. Nora, can you hear me? Oh boy.
I can't tell if that's me, if that's you, if that's the internet, if I'm tripping, or if the technological gods just don't want us to talk about this topic today.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if it was my internet, but I thought I had everything taken care of. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to close a bunch of windows real quick.
Wow, Sto has too many tabs open? It's not me?
On my crappy Chrome. Oh my goodness.
Sto yells at me all the time to close my tabs. Okay, while you do that, this is what I'm going to throw into the conversation. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, WhatsApp, what do they all have in common? They are all owned by Meta, which is the same company. And so we'll talk about why, all the things you should do, why you should have a newsletter, why you should have a website, da 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 da. But on a bigger scale, this is part of why it's so dangerous for one company to have a monopoly on things that really should be public utilities, really should be things that everyone has free and easy access to. Because when everything is all in one, that one thing goes down, and we're watching how many modes of communication, how many modes of connection go down. And you hear us on, we talk a lot about why it's so important as artists, as creatives, as entrepreneurs, why it's so important for y'all to give a shit about what's happening in the world. And this is part of why these things that happen, and you're like, oh, that's a corporation and it doesn't really have anything to do with me. Actually, those decisions that are being made have really direct impact. And Meta is not the only one, right? We're watching Amazon, Discover, and Capital One just merged, which is really dangerous for what that means for credit and banking and things like that. And so, we talk a lot about the practical things that you could be doing to kind of navigate these systems of shittiness that are happening at the, power levels above us. But y'all, this is why it's really dangerous when companies have so much power, when companies consolidate so much power, because when everything sits in one place, that's a monopoly. There's nothing we could do about that. And so I just really want folks to start thinking about, as we move, what kind of world we live in, and as we move through that space, what it means when one or two or three, a handful of people own so much that really should belong to all of us.
Exactly. And hopefully you can hear me now and whatnot.
Yeah.
But exactly. These social media platforms, they're not here for us. They never have been is the thing. And so, they're looking to fill their own pockets. They're looking to get us using their apps as much as possible. And again, these are two of the biggest apps that we have right now. And so, having your own systems and platforms already in place, I think, can mitigate a lot of the damage that happens when these applications go down. And again, this I know we did the episode 2 years ago, but like, it's not just Facebook and Instagram. We've seen Twitter go down. We've seen the clock app go down. We've seen, every type of app go down at some point. And so, especially as you're starting to roll out stuff, like making sure that you have another place outside of all of this to catch your fans and whatnot is important.
Like, I mean, to that point, so I think about like what would have happened if today was your rollout on Instagram and Instagram went down. Do you pause
Right.
your, do you wait and hope that tomorrow it's all fixed? Or do you have another direct method that you can connect with your audience? And that's, like you said, we've done this episode before and before and before. And in some ways, nothing's changed. And the other thing, right, is, okay, maybe the platform doesn't go down, but what happens if it goes behind a paywall? Do you really want to spend money on XYZ app? Maybe, maybe not like that, but that's money that you could put towards your production or your engineering or your marketing or what. So the way that these interruptions can happen isn't always so clear cut, right? And we're seeing this with Twitter, and like as Elon took over and as what they call the like shitification of the platform has happened. That's a real term. I'm not making that up. The shitification of the platform is happening. Do you have contact with those people that you were connected to and then they left the platform, right? So these things happen, I think on days like this, we see it so big, like, oh my God, the platforms are down. But in the absence of those big things, there's 1,000 tinier, smaller ways that these interruptions happen, right? These things that interfere between you and your audience that you have no control over. And so there has to be a backup plan. And there has to be a way that you are connecting with your audience that's meaningful and direct and not reliant on a monopoly that owns too much.
And here's the thing, I wasn't going to bring owners into this, but let's honestly take into account that legitimately, since a lot of these, whether it's Elon or Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, like over the last couple of years, we've seen them kind of change how they handle their platforms and whatnot. And so Nora makes an incredible point in saying that, like, especially with Twitter, like, yes, a good portion of us are still on the platform, but like a good portion of people have also left. And on top of that, I don't know what the threshold is or whatever, but now, Elon is deleting accounts that haven't logged in a certain amount of time. And so like people are leaving the platform sometimes without even knowing it. I'm kind of afraid for the people who've had their accounts kind of snapped away and then they try to log back in and they're like, oh, dang, I didn't even realize that my account has been, blocked or whatever because I didn't log in 60 days or something like that. And so as that happens, like it gives you an opportunity to really, again, shift people to your platform. And again, especially over the last couple of years, yes, I'm the get a damn website guy, of course, but especially given the state of things, like I understand like a website is not necessarily like, priority and the most important thing on your list. However, a newsletter is free. You don't have to pay any money to create a newsletter.
Sorry. So it's just, I think so. I think that we talk a lot this about like when we do spaces, but I think website is so scary, especially if you're like, oh, I'm not a tech person. I don't have the budget to hire someone. Like many of you heard me talk about, I've delayed my website for years. And I'm finally starting to play on Squarespace, and it's overwhelming. Like a newsletter is literally just sending an email. We send emails all the time. And so like, if you do nothing else, just collect email addresses. Collect email addresses so that if on the day of your big announcement, your big fundraising, your big this, your big that, your big the other, Instagram dies or Facebook shuts down, you can send an email. You have a direct, like, and so I don't even want people to, like, if we're here to give you the most basic, accessible first step, and newsletter feels overwhelming, just collect emails. Collect emails, send it. And it doesn't have to be like super curated. It doesn't have to be like, 12 pages of like an old school news. It's an email. Send an email like you're sending an email or a text even to your group chat, and let them know what's going on with you. And it's that simple. And like, I don't call a lot of things easy, but it's that easy. And the reason why it's so important is we just want you to have ownership of something. And you don't even own Gmail, or you don't own Yahoo or AOL or whatever the shit you're using, but those email addresses belong to you. And that is super, super important, because you will always have a direct way to connect with your audience. Also, there's no algorithm. Like even if it's working perfectly, you're still being mediated by the algorithm. So we really just want you to have a direct way that you can be in charge of connecting with your audience. And it's get a website, get a newsletter. At least one. Excuse me. At least one. At least one.
Right. And Nora makes an incredible point again, where, I put this in my video earlier, where like everyone's stressing out about these platforms coming back, but even when they come back, you're still not necessarily taking a W. Again, I say this on almost every single, live thing that we do. Like, the majority of your followers, regardless of percentages, like I used to believe that it was 30%. I'm almost certain that it's been lowered to at least 20%. But like, regardless of the exact percentage, the majority of the people who have clicked follow on your profile, I don't care if it's Twitter, Facebook, Threads, TikTok, I don't even care if it's freaking MySpace somehow. You're still over there somehow. The majority of your followers do not see what you post. And that's never going to change, ever. They don't want you to get the visibility that we all deserve in signing up for these platforms, because then they lose money. They don't want you going to your website or to insert platform here. They want you staying on their platform. And so, again, while, as I mentioned, like, visibility isn't necessarily 100%, if you're able to get a newsletter going, and again, some of this is paying attention to your platforms in general. Like, some of you get that engagement. Some of you have people who are like commenting on so many different things that you're doing, but you're just leaving that there on social media. You're just leaving it there. Oh, I went viral, so let's go. Like, now the number's about to go. But it almost never works like that. Both me and Nora have gone viral multiple times in our career. That is not hyperbole. That is not exaggeration. That is a fact. And while you do get followers from that, it does not move the needle in terms of like career progression and stuff like that. And I only use that term because I know some of you are looking to take those next like big steps in your career, but some of that comes down to getting your fans to your platform, to where now you have a deeper discussion and deeper engagement interaction with them. Again, Twitter only allows you to say so much if you're not subscribed to premium. So to expect your fans to be deeply engaged off of a social media platform it's kind of ridiculous because you're only seeing a small part of the picture at that point. And so when you get to your website where you control the narrative, when you get to your newsletter where you get to say whatever you want, where you get to upload any pictures, use any language, type as many words as you want. Exactly. Like, it's a different ball game. And the only last part I'm going to throw in here is like, and I'm so sorry, my sinuses are killing me today. So that's the only reason why I'm sniffling like a crazy person. But when you, a lot of pushback I get from artists is like, well, I don't have 100% of my followers on my newsletter. So like, what's the point? And it's like, one, it's understanding it's a slow burn. But second, it's also understanding even when you post that newsletter website link, everybody is not seeing it. So you're taking it personally. They're like, oh no, like why aren't my followers supporting me? Turns out they didn't even see it to begin with. And again, it's not, you're not posting enough. It's not, I mean, that's intricacies in other episodes. Again, at this point, shit, we can just point you to 75 other episodes that we got if you really, if you need other strategies. But like, at the end of the day, a lot of times they just didn't see what you posted. And so moving them over to your platform to where you control the narrative, you control how often things go out. Now they're actually able to receive what you're putting out there versus it being a flash in a pan that they're scrolling past, the millisecond. Like, yeah, sure, they may leave a like, they may say something quick, but then boom, they're scrolling after that. A newsletter, they're able to stop, stay, commit, read, engage, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I'm blabbering at this point, but yeah, there we go.
You're not blabbering. I think part of what you're starting to touch on is this idea of like, there's got to be a right? Like the marketing term would be a marketing funnel or a conversion strategy where just because someone is following you doesn't mean that they're a fan, doesn't mean that they even like you, doesn't mean like for people follow and unfollow for a million reasons. So you want to create different touch points, different ways for your audience to interact with you, to see you, to connect with you, so that they go from being a casual observer, which is really just all a follower is, right? People are know they follow you, like they follow you for all kinds of reasons, to someone who is engaged, invested, and willing to take action on your behalf. And so that's the part where like, it's really not about quantity numbers, it's about quality interactions. And even though your numbers might be smaller on a newsletter, or you might be getting less hits on a website, what you're getting there is a higher investment, is someone who's willing to do a deep dive. And we have a whole episode on like really getting to know your audience. But audiences are changing in the way that they want to interact with artists. A lot of people are leaving social media burnout is so fucking real. And a lot of people are like, I'm not on Instagram anymore. Or they're limiting their time on the platforms, or that, they're deleting it off their phones and not really using it, because we're learning so much about how bad this stuff is for you. And so again, giving your audience a different way to connect with you, a different way to interact with you, and a different way to show how invested they are in you, how connected they are in you. And you just, by design, the platforms are not designed for meaningful interaction. Swipe, swipe. Oh, I liked you. Swipe, swipe, like, swipe, swipe, swipe. And so it doesn't even have time to like percolate or marinate. And so again, 1,012 reasons as to why you should have a website and you should get a newsletter. And we have episodes on that. We do workshops. I do a workshop separately. Sto and I do a workshop together around newsletters. Both of us have newsletters that are, I think, good examples. And you should subscribe to them and you should read them. That hopefully give you some inspiration and ideas for what your own newsletter can be like. We can also work with you in a coaching session. Definitely did not mean to make this a sales pitch, but my point is that there are so many options. There are so many options to help you get started. And I think I'll say this, I think it's also really scary and vulnerable to do things like that, because in some ways, like it's really easy to be on Instagram or be on Facebook and be like, I'm a musician. But to make a website, you have to claim space and you have to claim language about yourself and you have to claim visuals about yourself. And that's a little scary. And so I get that. And so it's also maybe a push for you to stop hiding and like really invest in yourself and own whatever your entrepreneurship and creativity looks like, even if it's just a website for the sake of having a website, right? It could be a placeholder, it could be a digital like journal, like whatever. It doesn't have to be fancy and perfect in any kind of way. But I also want to just nudge folks to stop hiding and don't be afraid to put yourself out there and be like, yeah, I'm going to claim myself as a musician. And that's cool. That's great. That's brave. And it lets people find you and connect with you, which, as I always say, music business is about human to human connections. And the more they see you as a human and the more that you see them as a human, the more we can connect and literally make beautiful music together.
Absolutely. The last point I'm going to throw in here is just like, me and Nora have been telling y'all, like, for real, we're about to see, and Nora kind of alluded to this earlier, like, I swear on everything I have, you're about to see labels. We've already seen Spotify pretend to do it, try to shift to a community-based engagement. You heard it here at office hours first, if you haven't heard it already, in which case, second or third or something like that. But the point is, you're going to watch these businesses try to shift to, oh, we want to engage with the fan. We want to make the fan feel special. And I'm not saying that that's inherently a bad thing. Right. But all I'm saying is that that's something we've been talking about for literal years at this point. And giving that community, like putting the hands of your community into Spotify or whatever streaming service, that's not for your benefit. I can almost promise you that. Spotify being in control of your newsletter and how you connect with your fans or your monthly listeners, because they're not going to let you connect with fans. Actually, I can promise you that. They could have been done that. They could have been let you connect with the people that are listening to music, but they're making sure they don't do that. And so pay attention as you watch these labels and streaming platforms offer stuff like that, and understand you do not have to pay for that. You can set those parameters and make those platforms on your own. I'm not saying that their resources can't be useful, but yeah, I'm sorry, say that again, Nora.
Sorry. Just, we have a whole episode on Discord talking about free, easy platforms. We have a whole episode on Discord.
So you're gonna see Spotify try to be like, we've always been for independent artists. We've always tried to connect. Like, honestly, bet money that they say we've always tried to connect artists to their fans and listeners.
They would have been whatnot.
And yep. And so today we're offering this new platform for you to connect with them on a deeper level. Don't fall for that shit, because again, there are plenty of ways to do that now without paying a dime. And that's where the bag is, for real. Like that's where, and again, it's not just about the bag, of course, but it's like so many of you are looking for that next step. And it's like, it's not about racking up monthly listeners. We're not trying to say that isn't worthy or doesn't, have its benefits, I guess. But like Spotify has that data, not you. And so they may make you think you have a piece of that data for location's sake and stuff like that. I've seen all types of stuff like, oh yeah, like Spotify for artists gives me all. No, they don't. They make you think they're giving you a certain amount of data, but if they really wanted to give it to you, they'd make those avenues open. And so that's why, again, things like starting a website, having a newsletter, stuff like that. Again, those are things you can do on your own. That is not ideally controlled by a bigger entity that stops everything. The Facebook stuff, it happened like that. I didn't even, the reality is that I didn't even know it was happening. Someone texted me and said, yo, bro, like, you see this? Trending all up and down the timeline. And so I know I've talked to so many artists, like it's crazy how many artists I've talked to today. Like, what am I supposed to do about my Instagram? And if you had a newsletter, if you had a website, panic mode doesn't ensue. Right. I'm not saying not to be upset about these platforms, even on like, oh, sheesh. But like, if you have your, and this is a fact, we got Zero Sensei with the high key, Facebook should stay down, but I'll be quiet. And it's like, hold up, brother. We ain't being that quiet, but that's okay. We need to be loud because what the hell, Facebook? And so, yeah, it's just these resources are out there. Just because it's not the most popular or whatever does not mean they're not viable. So you have a lot of options out there. Take a second, do some research, experiment, get out there, see where your fans are willing to engage and stuff like that. But for the love of God, do not leave them on social media. So many people are like, oh, Facebook, it is the biggest platform on earth, but that does not mean it is without vulnerabilities and stuff like that. And all it took was one snap, one Thanos snap. I didn't realize we were in Infinity War 2, okay? Marvel, let's go. What's happening? We're dusting all the social media platforms. And when this happens on a permanent level, that's the other part. This time we're lucky, right? We just got logged out. Next time it could be you get logged out, but you can't remember your password. It could be, oh, you're logged out, but we erased some data. Oh, you're logged out, but you can't do X, Y, Z. Oh, you're logged out, but there's a paywall now. I'm just spitballing here. We're in a pre-apocalyptic wasteland. The actual not just yet. And so don't be coming at us when we're like, when everything goes down. You're like, well, what am I supposed to do? We done told you time and time and time again. We have 2 episodes on this topic, but we also have episodes on newsletters. We also have episodes on how to connect with your audience, how to network, how to do stuff in real time, not just digitally. Like, it's all there.
So, long story short, get a website, get a newsletter, connect directly with your fans, and question the monopoly of these platforms and our reliance on them, because it doesn't have to be that way. And the fact that one person owns so much should fucking scare the shit out of all of us.
5 platforms went down, owned by one company.
One.
And when you really think about it, one other company owns Twitter, one other company owns TikTok, and if we really want to get into the weeds, one other company owns Tidal, and some of these other bigger companies own these other streaming platforms. So it's not like because how many times do we see like, oh, Facebook's down, let me just slide on over to Twitter.
Right. Well, and even on a grander scale, like the way that, and we could do a whole episode on this, but the way that like Live Nation is buying up smaller and smaller venues, like these are all right. The monopoly of companies should be scaring us. Serial Sensei is asking, I have a quick question that's kind of related. What are some good blog sites to use aside from WordPress? What is that? Aside from WordPress, something you I don't. What are words today? I have a quick kind of related. What are some good blog sites to use aside from WordPress? Something you could use to keep in contact with your following. I use Medium, and it lets you interact with people. It lets people follow you, and they get updated on like what you're writing. But there's no limit, so you can go as long form as you like. There's some stuff I was just starting to read about, like what their ownership is of what you post. So you want to be careful about that. But I really, in terms of like, and there's like very little coding and stuff you need to do with Medium. So if all you want to do is write and blog, Medium's really simple and straightforward. So I don't know if you have other suggestions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously you got MailChimp. That's a good one. I personally use Substack. I feel like it's kind of Medium adjacent. To be completely frank, I'm about to go ahead and download Medium as soon as I hop off here, because I ain't gonna front. I thought that I didn't think it necessarily died per se, but I definitely, like, I was big on Medium back in the day, so I didn't even realize it's still kind of a thing. So definitely, if you're just about the writing, Medium is the way to go. There's Substack, WordPress, of course. I'm definitely missing. If you're an artist, Bandcamp has a built-in newsletter feature. For the love of God, if I get one more artist that's only hitting me up in the newsletter every time they release, I'm gonna blow a gasket, because you have a literal newsletter feature built in. And for now, it's free. We already know about the song trader shit that's been going on the last like 6 months. Listen, I'm not conspiracy theorist guy, but I also don't trust the system. Don't be surprised if they start locking those features behind a paywall. And so now's the time to take advantage. So Bandcamp is a perfect one for artists. Again, MailChimp, Substack. I'm sure there are others that I'm absolutely forgetting. Beehive, that's another one. Our homegirl Lottie Da, who came to our newsletter class, she uses that. It's out there. Like, do your research, see what works for you, because that's the other part. It's like, I used WordPress back in high school, but I use Substack now.
Right.
You got to figure out what works best for you.
And like, I know some of y'all are gonna analyze and look up it. Like, don't get stuck in the analysis paralysis of finding the perfect platform. Whatever's easy, whatever's free, whatever gets you started, just start. And then you can move, and then you can transfer, and then your people, they'll follow you. Like, it's not that serious, but don't, obviously, like, do some research, but don't get stuck in researching for 3 months. Give yourself a deadline and make a decision, and then get started. Thank you for that question, Serial Sensei, because I think it's something people think about a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, God,
I know the half-hour mark.
This might be our longest episode.
In 2 weeks, has it?
Maybe. I'll look it up.
In 2 weeks, we'll be back at our regular time.
Girl, we'll see about that. What you mean? Vanderpump didn't stop in 2 weeks.
Okay,
what you mean? Chop didn't stop in 2 weeks.
Tell everybody why we had to reschedule timing, though.
All right, listen. Let's be super clear here. Listen, I'm trying to watch Chopped. I'm trying to watch Vanderpump Rules. Okay, and okay, Vanderpump is kind of a question mark. But the point is, there's basketball on. There's things that need to be done and stuff like that. So
I was like, can we reschedule the episode so I can watch Vanderpump Rules? And I said, sure, no problem.
Chop Spin It to Win It. Chop Spin It to Win It is here in a couple hours. It might be the finale. I got to see who wins.
Serial Sensei says the Wemby era is here.
The Wemby era is here. My God.
Anyways, take a page from the Sto handbook and take care of yourself. Adjust what you need to adjust to make time for the things that matter for you. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, check out all our other episodes. Y'all hit the subscribe, because more people see this, and more people who see this, the more we normalize
share
this.
Share the link.
Tag us. We love. We'll interact with you. Like,
I don't think about it.
Preach. Drop a comment and tell us what other episodes you want to see. Our next episode is about aging in the music industry, because I'm really sick and tired of people being like, but I'm too old. That's not too old.
No, you're not.
There's no
you're
such
just getting started.
And the industry just likes to take advantage of young people because they're easy to take advantage of, and that is predatory as fuck. Also sexist, because women especially get more age pressure than men. We're going to talk about all of that. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your community. Do what you can to make the world a better place. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye, friends.
See you later.